Hello students, in the previous lecture we have discussed the definitions of the MKS system. Means units which are used in the MKS system means standard meter, then 1 kilogram and 1 second. Now we will study about the remaining definitions of remaining units of the SI system. Now what are the remaining units? One is ampere, temperature SI unit is Kelvin, luminous intensity its SI unit is candela, and amount of substance mole. Then there are two supplementary quantities, angle and solid angle, and their units are radian and steradian. So in this lecture we will study about these units, definitions of these units. So what is ampere? So as you know that ampere is the SI unit of, since this is unit, therefore it will be written with the small a, but when it is symbolized by capital A. So what is ampere? So 1 ampere defined as that current which when passing through two infinitely long straight parallel conductors kept at a distance of 1 meter from each other produces a force of 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. Now see here, there are two infinitely long, their length is very long. There are two infinitely long straight parallel conductors which are placed parallel to each other at a distance of 1 meter. When 1 ampere current will flow through them in any direction, here it can flow in the same direction or it can flow in the opposite direction. When 1 ampere current will flow through them, then it will produce 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton force on their 1 meter length. Means this force on their per meter length will start exerting. What is 1 ampere? 1 ampere is that current which when flowing through two infinitely long straight parallel conductors placed at a distance of 1 meter from each other produces a force of 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. So this is the definition of the SI unit of electric current, and this definition was given in the year 1948. Now after this Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature. It is symbolized by K. It is SI unit of temperature. Now what is SI unit of temperature? So you can see here, how will you define 1 Kelvin? So there is a triple point temperature of water. Triple point temperature of water. Triple point temperature of water is, it is that temperature at which water exists in all the three states. It is numerically 273.16 Kelvin. In degrees Celsius it is nearly 0 degrees Celsius, which you know melting point of ice. If you see the ice block, you can see here that ice block is in the solid state. You can find at the same time some vapors over the ice block. At that moment water is in the gaseous state, and at the same time you will find that some water is sticking to that ice block. उस आइस ब्लॉक के साथ कुछ वाटर भी क्या हुआ है, चिपका हुआ है उससे. So here water is existing in its all the three states: solid state, which is the ice; liquid state, which is the water itself; and gaseous state, which is the water vapor. It exists in all the three states at this temperature. It's clear that we know that the triple point temperature of water means it is that temperature at which water exists in all the three states. 1 Kelvin has been defined as 1/273 0.16 times of triple point temperature of water. Triple point temperature of water. And this definition was given which year? That I am seeing from the book here. It is given in 1967. Now after this there is one quantity, luminous intensity. It's clear. Now what is the luminous intensity? First you know what is luminous light. Luminous light. Luminous light. You can see here two tube lights are working in this room. These two tube lights are not emitting total amount of light as the luminous light. Luminous light means which produces the sensation of vision. And as we know that when we say luminous light, then in terms of wavelength it ranges from 4000 angstrom to the 8000 angstrom. Radiations which are having wavelength smaller than this or greater than this, smaller than this, ultraviolet, greater than this, they will be infrared radiations. They do not produce sensation of vision. So when there is any tube light is working, then it not only emits the luminous light, it also emits the some other radiations which do not produce sensation of vision. For example, the tube light source, it is of 40 watt, means the total energy which it emits, total amount of energy which it emits is 40 joule per second. 40 joule per second means it consists luminous amount of energy as well as non-luminous energy also. Luminous energy whose wavelength lies in this range, non-luminous energy whose wavelength lies outside this range. It's clear? It is producing both kinds of the energies. It's clear? But here the intensity of light source means it is that amount of light, it is that amount of radiation which causes the sensation of vision. Intensity of any light source means it is that amount of energy which causes the sensation of vision. So it is described by the luminous intensity, by the term luminous intensity. It's clear? Means हम ये देखेंगे कि उस सोर्स की कितनी ल्यूमिनस इंटेंसिटी है. टोटल इंटेंसिटी से मीनिंग नहीं है, बिकॉज दैट सोर्स इज बीइंग यूज्ड फॉर व्हाट? फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग द सेंसेशन ऑफ विजन. इट्स क्लियर? सो वी विल सी द ल्यूमिनस इंटेंसिटी. सो इट्स SI unit is candela. SI unit is candela. In short we write it as CD. It's clear? Now what is candela? So one candela is the luminous intensity. One candela is the luminous intensity which is produced by a monochromatic source of light whose wavelength is 543 into 10 to the power, here I am seeing 540 into 10 to the power 12 hertz. 540 into 10 to the power 12 hertz. It is the luminous intensity produced by a monochromatic source of light whose wave frequency is 540 into 10 to the power 12 hertz and whose radiant intensity in that direction is 1 upon 683 watt, 1 upon 683 watt per steradian. Means unit सॉलिड एंगल रेंज में कितनी रेडियंट इंटेंसिटी है उस सोर्स ऑफ लाइट की इन दैट डायरेक्शन? इट इज 1 upon 683 watt. What is one candela? One candela is the luminous intensity of a monochromatic source of light which is emitting light of this frequency, which is emitting light of this frequency and in a direction in which the radiant intensity is 1 upon 683 watt per steradian. Means in that direction what is the radiant intensity? It is 1 upon 683 watt per steradian. It is the luminous intensity. It is the most latest definition given in the year 1979. It's clear? This is the candela. It's clear? Now here there is one term, monochromatic. Monochromatic means single wavelength. Single wavelength means single frequency. It's clear? You see here, what is one candela? You listen once again. One candela, it is the luminous intensity of a source in a given direction, which emits radiation of light of the frequency 540 into 10 to the power 12 hertz, and having radiant intensity in that direction 1 upon 683 watt per steradian. It's clear? Now after this there is one unit, amount of substance. There is one term, amount of substance. It's clear? This amount of substance, it is used for expressing the quantity of atoms, quantity of molecules which are having very small size. Now what is 1 mole? 1 mole of any substance is equal to as many entities of that substance as the number of atoms in 12 gram of carbon. 12 gram of carbon, that is C12. It's clear? 1 mole of any substance is equal to as many entities of that substance as the number of atoms in 12 gram of carbon. And there are how many atoms in 12 gram of carbon? It is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. It's clear? Means if you take 12 gram of carbon 12, C12, then it is having how many atoms of C12? This many atoms of C12. This number we know that this is known as, this you have studied in the class 10th chemistry, Avogadro number. Avogadro number. It's clear? Means if you take this much units of any substance, if we take this much number of pens, means we will say that we are having 1 mole pen. It is just like 1 dozen. 1 dozen means 12 units. 1 score means 20 units. So 1 mole means this many units of that substance. It's clear? So these are the 7 fundamental units. 7 fundamental units are meter, kilogram, second, ampere, Kelvin, candela and mole. Now after this there are 2 supplementary units. They are also the part of fundamental units. That's why they are called as the fundamental SI units. They are called as fundamental SI units. One is the angle. Here quantity is, supplementary quantity is angle, and other is the solid angle. It's clear? Now angle, its unit is, though there are various units. In the previous lecture I have told that the angle is having units degree, minute and second. So here angle radian, and this is solid angle is steradian. How will you define? These are the supplementary units. How will you define 1 radian? So 1 radian is the angle subtended by an arc of the circle at the center of circle, such that length of arc is equal to the radius. As we know that, what is the formula of angle? It is the plane angle. This angle we call it the plane angle. Angle equals to arc upon radius. It's clear? Now suppose this is a circle. Suppose its radius is r. Now if you take an arc whose length is also equals to r. If you take an arc whose length is also equals to r. Here this is the arc whose length is also equals to r. What will be the angle which it will subtend at the center? So this will be the plane angle subtended by the arc. It will be equal to here 1 radian. It's clear? And why it will be equal to 1 radian? Radius is r, length of arc is also r. So r upon r, that is equals to 1 radian. It is clear? It has no unit. R centimeter upon r centimeter, no unit. So one arbitrary unit has been given, which is called the radian. So what is 1 radian? It is the plane angle subtended by an arc of the circle at its center, whose length is equal to the radius. Whose length is equal to the radius. It is clear? What is the 1 radian? It is the plane angle subtended by an arc of the circle at its center, such that the length of arc is equal to the radius. Then solid angle. Solid angle, it is a 3-dimensional angle. It is not a plane angle. This is called the solid angle. It is clear? For example, here, if you have to find the angle subtended by this whole surface at this point, you join all the points on this boundary. On its boundary, you join all the points at this point where angle you have to determine. So you will get a conical type of angle. You will get a conical shape angle. That conical shape angle is called the solid angle. How will you describe the solid angle? It is the solid angle, it is the 1 steradian. How will you define 1 steradian? 1 steradian is the solid angle subtended by the surface of a sphere. Subtended by the surface of the sphere at its center, such that the area of sphere is equal to the square of radius. Means here it is a sphere. You can see this is the sphere. It's clear? And its center is this. Now what is 1 steradian? Suppose its radius is r. So we have taken a surface here. Here one surface has been taken whose area is equal to r square. It's clear? What will be the solid angle subtended by this side, the center? It will be equal to this angle. It's clear? Here radius is also r. So what will be solid angle? Solid angle will be equal to here side area of surface divided by r square. Area of surface upon r square. Area of surface is already r square. We have taken an area which is equal to square of radius upon r square, that is equals to 1 steradian. That is 1 steradian. So what is 1 steradian? It is the solid angle subtended by the surface of a sphere at its center, such that the area of surface is equal to the square of radius. So these are the units of, these are the definitions of the fundamental units. After this derived units, already I have explained what is derived units. Derived units, as we know that the SI system of unit, SI system of unit it is a coherent system. Coherent system means in which units of other quantities can be found simply by multiplying or dividing the fundamental units without introducing any numerical factor. It is clear? So those units which are obtained by multiplying or dividing the fundamental units are called the derived units, and the quantities are called the derived quantities. There are billions of derived quantities. Earlier also we have discussed area. It is a derived quantity. Its derived unit is meter square. Volume, it is a derived quantity. No need to have a separate unit of this. Its derived unit will be meter cube. Speed or velocity, it is also a derived quantity. There is no need to have a separate unit of this. Here its derived unit is meter per second. We can find its derived unit simply by dividing the unit of length by the unit of time. Then acceleration, as you know that what is the unit of acceleration? Meter per second square. It is also a derived quantity. This can be found by dividing the unit of length twice by the unit of time. Then force is here kilogram meter per second square. I have already told F equals to m into A. It is clear? Then work is here kilogram meter square per second square. You can see here. Work equals to W equals to F into S. You multiply the unit of force and displacement. S means displacement. You will get the unit of work. It is clear? Means here there is no need to have a separate unit. But they are also having some separate unit. For example, in some cases there are separate units. Newton. Here what is the unit? Watt. Similarly, pressure. Pressure equals to force upon area. Force upon area, if you see the unit of force, what is the unit of force? Unit of force is kilogram meter per second square. Kilogram meter per second square divided by area means meter square. So it will be kilogram meter inverse second minus 2. And it is also known as Pascal. It is also known as Pascal. It is clear? So these are the derived quantities and derived units. In the same way, you can write the many other derived quantities and derived units. Then there are certain rules for writing how will you write the units. So see here, all the units are written with the small letters. All the units are written with the small letter. It is clear? Means meter we will not write capital M. We will write small m. It is clear? Kg we will not write in this way. We will write this small. It is clear? Similarly, second we will not write with capital S. Small s. It is clear? It is with the small s. But if the unit is named after the name of some scientist, unit has been named after the name of some scientist. For example, here it is named after the name of Newton. Here James Watt. So if it is written in the symbol form, it will be written, that symbol will be written with the capital letter, that is capital N. But if you have to write the complete name, if you are writing Newton as, so you will write this. It's clear? This way you will write. It's clear? Here this you will write in this way. If you are writing the complete name, then you will start from the small letter. It's clear? Plural of units is not written. It will be 10 meter, not 10 meters. It's clear? You will not write this way. 10 newtons you will not write. You will write 10 Newton. So these are some guidelines for writing the units that you can see from the book. Now after this, in the third lecture, we will do the measurement of some distances. So now you go through your book also and try to understand. If you are getting any problem, you write in the comment box. I will try to resolve those problems. So thank you.